We are coming to you from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, where this afternoon, Comcast Sportsnet presents White Sox baseball. So Jose Abreu, Avi Garcia, Melky Cabrera, and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Alex Rodriguez, Brian McCann, and the New York Yankees. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stone as we get set to bring you Game 3 of this 4-game series. As you may know, we have split the first two. They won the opener 3-2, big 3-run homer off Chris Sale by Carlos Beltran. Then last night, Carlos Rodon goes out there. He did not have his good stuff. He did not have his good control. But, boy, he showed some maturity last night, going out there 6 innings, only giving up 2 runs. But we had a couple other heroes in that game last evening.
We certainly did, and one of them was Mike Old at third base. Now, he's hit 3 home runs this year, but none more important than last night because in the 7th inning, he stepped up, got a low fastball, took it out of the ballpark. He's only driven in 4 runs, but this one put the Sox on top. And then Gordon Beckham hit one, and they never relinquished the lead. Also, coming out for the first time as an opponent, David Robertson picked up save number 32. This was the final out of the ball game, and Robertson, against his former mates, certainly happy he threw the ball well, had no problems at all in the 9th. And that's how it looked last night in a loss that really hurt the Yankees because Toronto won. And for all practical purposes, these Yankees are in trouble. So those were the heroes from last night. There were a few other guys who entered into it. Trace Thompson with a great catch.
Well, that was a big hit for the Yankees last night. But on the bump for them this afternoon is a right-hander, Adam Warren.
Adam Warren's one of those guys that can pitch out of the bullpen as well as in the starting rotation, and he's done it both ways this year. Now, as you see, 5-6 as a starter with an ERA up there. As a reliever, he was 1-1 with a 2.51 ERA, and when Nathan Eovaldi went down, Adam Warren stepped in the rotation. That really hurt the bullpen because they don't have a 7th inning guy. Last time out against Toronto, he didn't throw the ball very well. He lasted into the 4th inning, gave up 3 earned runs, and wound up getting the loss. But he's the man who's filled the void in the rotation. Eovaldi is probably not going to be back, and we'll see Warren, a 4-pitch pitcher, this afternoon.
All right, sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
Welcome back to Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, where the Yankees know already that Toronto is pummeling Tampa Bay, and it looks like the Yankees are going to be in those one-and-done games that nobody really wants to play, but it's better than not being there. So the national anthem is coming. As you can see, the shadows have crept across home plate in this 4 o'clock start. And let's take a look at how Robin's going to line up our Sox for the game tonight. Adam Eaton leading it off. Then it's Jose Abreu, Melky Cabrera, Trace Thompson in right field with Adam LaRoche the DH, Alexei Ramirez, Mike Olt, Tyler Flowers, and Carlos Sanchez playing second base and hitting ninth. The defense and how they'll line up behind Adam Warren left to right, Chris Young, Jacoby Ellsbury, and Carlos Beltran in the outfield. And it's Chase Headley, Didi Gregorius, Rob Refsnyder, and Greg Bird in the infield. Brian McCann gets a nod behind the plate. Our Alexis Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher is Adam Warren. 6-7 this year. This is 17th start, his 42nd game overall. His ERA 3.46. The best job he's done is out of the bullpen. He was the 7th inning guy, and when he was right, Joe Girardi had 3 guys he could count on. Warren was one of them, Dylan Betances the other, and Andrew Miller is the closer of this team, and it was a 6-inning game, but now he's been forced to move into the starting rotation. The umpires for the game this afternoon: Sam Holbrook is behind the plate, the crew chief Ryan Honora is at first, Mark Rippinger is at second, and Alan Porter is at third. And so the Yankees, who made a valiant run at trying to win the division outright, most likely will be relegated to the one-and-done game as a wild card. And Joe Girardi has done a great job with all the injuries he's had to absorb this year, and with a bullpen that has been not quite as dependable as he would like. And it all comes down to the starters not going deep in the game. So Robin Ventura, seeing his ball club splitting the first 2 games of the series, and he's hoping for some offense today. So they throw the ball around the infield, which means we're ready to play baseball, and I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
All right, Steve, thank you. And once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to White Sox Baseball right here on Comcast Sportsnet. So happy you could join us for Game 3 of this 4-game series. And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours as the 28-year-old right-hander's first pitch taken for a strike. .66 degrees at game time. And there was one that was close that went Warren's way.
Warren's got a good fastball. He's a 4-pitch pitcher. Probably his slider is a little better than his curveball, and he has a straight change that's still a bit of a work in progress.
And that's in the center field. That's going to fall for a base hit. There's a Kansas City special. So he is now 5 for 9 in this series.
Menard's pitch tracks will show you one that he tried to cut inside to Adam, couldn't quite get it in, and a nice way to start.
Here's Abreu, hitting at .289, 29 homers, and 96 driven in. Sox come in hitting at .251 as a team with a 3.99 ERA. Sox 36 and 43 on the road. That breaking ball outside. And this is the 6th meeting of the year between these two teams. In the first 5, we have won 2 of them. Outfield slightly to the right.
McCann was having all kinds of problems throwing out base stealers the last few years, and Gary Tuck, who is the catching instructor of these Yankees, worked with him on his footwork and his release. And this year he's been a whole lot better at gunning down would-be base stealers.
That pitch misses. Now he's got the catbird seat at 2-0, and here at Yankee Stadium. 318 down the left field line, 314 down the right field line, 385 in deep right center, 399 in deep left center, and 408 straight away center. Had 2 nice crowds. And a lot of people are going to miss what's from the day. But the tickets have been sold. They're averaging almost 40,000 a game. Gets up after that 93-mile-an-hour high fastball. Abreu just 1 for 9 in the series. Short lead. And the count 3-1. Don't help him out. Melky on deck. And that is the final now. Pirates shut out the Cubs 4-0. Liriano over Hamill. There he goes. And that'll be stolen base number 17. They'll tie him with Alexei for the team lead.
This wasn't all that bad a throw, but the high leg kick, and I'm looking back to see if there's contact. There wasn't, and Ref Snyder could not hang on to the baseball. Doubtful if he'd have had him at second base anyway.
He was going to be safe unless he came off the bag, which he didn't.
Nope.
So now a full count to Abreu. Ellsbury deep in center. Abreu trying to shove it to the right side.
Nice piece of defensive hitting down in the count. He got a little cutter away. At the last instant, just flicked it out of play.
And top of the 9th up in Canada, Toronto doubling up Tampa Bay 10-5. Bautista, a couple of home runs in that game. He now has 39. That'll get the job done. And they're going to wave him around. Here's the throw. He is safe. And it's 1-0, and that is RBI number 97 for Abreu.
Jose got a high fastball, and with Ref Snyder playing up the middle, he took it through the right side. And then they decided to run on the arm of Carlos Beltran, who used to have a great arm. These days, the arm is okay. Adam, with the stolen base, makes it easily.
So here's Melky. Well, when you're trying to play good fundamental baseball, even though the count was 3-2 twice, he tried to shove it right, and he got it right on the second try. Good things happen. So here's Melky, who has a 15-game hitting streak here at Yankee Stadium. And he just missed that one. He's a little upset with himself as Jacoby Ellsworth comes in, makes a catch. And that's out number 1. That 15-game hitting streak tied with Michael Young for the longest hitting streak by a visitor since the park opened in 2009. Took that pitch nicely. He's 2 for 8 in the series with a homer. It was a line shot in the second deck. He's hitting .309, 5 homers, 15 knocked in with 8 doubles and 2 triples. And a brilliant catch last night. Probably the most important play in that ball game. And if you missed it, 2 men on, nobody out.
He goes back and gracefully leaps in the air, catches it, gets it back in the infield. No advancement by the runners. That was 2 on and nobody out.
That seems like everything he does. His poetry in motion, very graceful. Even the way he takes most pitches. There's a base hit. So with 1 out, 1 in, let's check out our picks to click. The manager, our director and the crew, whether they went with Alexi, Steve's going with Melky, David Novak, and all the great folks at Boogie Hyundai and Downers Grove. And now we're going with Trace Thompson. Here's Adam. LaRoche at 211, 12 homers, and 44 knocked in. Touch him up right here.
Warren is probably much better served out of the bullpen where he doesn't have to use 4 pitches. But he's made 25 relief appearances and one of 4 pitchers in the major leagues who's made at least 15 starts and as many as 25 relief appearances. In our league, Trevor May of Minnesota, Chris Young of Kansas City qualified. Not an easy job to keep shuttling back and forth.
Well, it takes a different kind of personality, so to speak. Some guys cannot do it. Uh-oh. Back him up. But we pick up 1 and we lead it 1-0.
in Lake Bracken, Illinois. And let's take a look at how Joe Girardi's going to line up his Yankees for the game this afternoon. It's Ellsbury, Headley, and Rodriguez at the top, with Beltran, McCann, and Young in the middle, followed by Bird, Gregorius, and Refsnyder rounding it out. The defense and how they'll line up behind Johnny Danks. Melky Cabrera, Adam Eaton, and Trace Thompson in the outfield. Then it's Holt, Ramirez, Sanchez, and Abreu in the infield. Tyler Flowers gets a nod behind the plate. And our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is Johnny Danks, out for his 29th start, looking for his 8th win. And there you see the numbers. Control, by and large, has been very good, and left-handers have not hit him very well.
Here's Ellsbury. Jacoby at 258, 7 homers, 32 driven in. Yankees come in hitting at 251 as a team, just like our Sox. Yankees with a 3.97 team ERA. And Jacoby's had good luck against Danks. 19 at bats, 8 hits. Yankees come in 42 and 33 here at home. On the road, they're 42 and 36.
A good straight change from Johnny Danks, and there's a lot of left-handers who won't throw a straight change to left-handers. Danks is not one of them.
Well, he got away with that one. Those high straight changes by Danks in his career, which we have seen, have a tendency to get hit very hard. He slips down, but recovers to catch it on the first bounce. He would have made it into second even, but that's as far because Trace was backing him up and straight away center field.
Pretty amazing that Thompson could get over there in time as Adam Eaton tries to put on the brakes and skids. Falls down, but able to get back up.
You very seldom see a right fielder with a left-handed hitter up just backing up a center fielder on the ball hit straight into center field.
I don't believe I've seen that very much.
No, you haven't. Neither one of us. We've been in the game almost 100 years between us.
No,
neither one of us has seen that.
No, they don't get out there all that quickly most of the time.
Here's the third baseman switch hitting, Chase Headley. 3 for 7 in the series.
One of the reasons the Sox were able to win that ball game last night was the fact that the Yankees grounded into 4 6-4-3 double plays, and that ended a whole lot of threats that they had.
Well, if you're going to blame a pitcher for hanging a slider or hanging a curveball or hanging a straight change, you got to give him credit when he throws in a big situation. Ground ball double play.
Well, that's one of the reasons why Matt Albers has been as effective as he has, because he throws good hard sinkers, and he got a big double play. Carlos Rodon got a couple of double plays that got him out of trouble. So it worked out pretty well.
We can turn some double plays.
Yep.
We've turned 154 of them. Yankees, for an example, 124. But the thing about Albers, as I mentioned earlier, he to me is the unsung hero of that bullpen. Nobody's mentioned it too much when we picked him up. Nobody mentioned it too much. First part of the year, all he does is come in and get guys out. Very quietly, very quickly, and very efficiently.
Well, an ERA of 126 this year, and he's been on 28 times. So with his stuff and the way that it moves, especially the late movement of his sinker and the one that he runs into right-handers, he's been just tough to square up.
Well, that's why Petrichka can be so effective, because of the quote late movement. When he's healthy, he has that late movement. When he gets a little tired, he tries to overthrow it, straightens out on him. Most of the time, it's just the opposite. When the guy gets a little tired, that's when he's going to get some movement.
Jake's been pretty good this year. Jake in 60 appearances, 3.73 ERA.
There goes Ellsbury. Headley pops it up. Ellsbury picked it up. 1 out.
That's one of the reasons why, and most good base runners will tell you this. If you're taking off and it's not a straight steal, where you know the hitter's going to take it, you've got to identify contact. You can certainly hear it, sometimes a little bit better than others, but he's fortunate that ball stayed up as long as it did because he identified the contact, but he was pretty close to second base at the time.
Here's Alex. 0 for 6 in the series. And he's been scuffling. Teixeira's out. He's been maybe trying to do a little too much, especially with the Yankees in the position they're in. He's 2 for his last 23.
I just think as good as Carlos Beltran is, and he's good, he's not like Mark Teixeira, a professional run producer that you have behind you.
Not with the year Teixeira was having.
No.
If Beltran is healthy and been playing a lot, he's pretty good protection for anybody, but not with Teixeira the way he was hitting. But you stack them up 1, 2, 3, or 3, 4, 5, and that's formidable.
And for Teixeira, in 111 games, he hit 31 home runs, drove in 79, and then a fractured shin ended his season, which for the Yankees was a terrible loss because being a switch hitter, you use your protection on both sides of the plate.
Alex, last 12 at bats against us is 0 for 12. But he does own 686 home runs. And he is only one of 2 players to ever have 3,000 hits, 2,000 runs, and 2,000 RBIs. Hank Aaron is the other.
Pretty amazing achievements for Alex Rodriguez, considering.
Well, I don't read the papers, but you were telling me there was no stories written about it.
It was pretty much as if it didn't really happen because, I mean, that's a monumental achievement. If only 2 players in the history of the game have accomplished it, you would think that a few people would just say, okay, look, let's write a little bit about it because we're probably not going to see that again.
Well, we saw 50% of it.
Yes.
He gone.
I'd like to pass along best wishes to Kathy Kilmartin, a huge Sox fan from Mendota, Illinois. She's been a little under the weather, and she watches every game. And we'll try to bring you home a winner, Kathy.
And Kathy, hope you're feeling better soon, honey. Here's Beltran. Had that big 3-run homer. In game 1, it beat us 3-2. Watching Alex, and now this is the first at bat in game 3 of the series. Alex looks very, very tentative to play. That's deep in the center field, but we got a man there. And that'll retire the side after 1. It is 1-0 good guy.
And the first 10,000 fans will receive an exclusive stretch sale action figure. For tickets or more information, visit WhiteSox.com. And after the inning ended, after Adam Eaton made that catch, he got a little grief from the bullpen. They were talking about perhaps maybe calling him skates because he went down, and not exactly like we've had flooding here in New York. It's been very dry, but feet went out from under him, and the boys in the pen just letting him know they noticed it.
Well, if you get the right guys in the pen, they can really get on a lot of guys out there doing a game.
It's great. Here you're doing your job in center field. They're yelling at you from the bullpen.
There's a strike to Alexei, and the count evens at 1. Alexei 3 for 7 with an RBI in the series, hitting at .250, 10 homers, and he's driven in 60. A little bit in front of that one. Gregorius, yeah, good looking young shortstop.
The one thing I don't think you're going to be able to do is outrun the arm of Gregorius. And what we've seen from him is that not only does he have a good arm, he's playing a lot of shortstops that do if they get a chance to set and throw over the top. Gregorius is able to throw from any angle and get a whole lot on it, and it's usually very accurate. So they got him from the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he's shown that he's got a little pop, and certainly has shown that defensively he's a very good shortstop.
Here's Olt. Had that big home run last night. It was a long one. Well, there's not a shortstop in this league with a better arm than he is.
But we've seen some good ones come into this league this year.
A bunch of them.
That can rush it over there.
Correa, Lindor.
Lindor throws straight over the top, very accurate. Correa is very accurate.
Lindor is very, very close to the throwing motion of Jose Valentin, who had a classic shortstop.
He threw straight over the top.
2-1.
Warren's got good sinking action when he keeps the ball down. In fact, he hasn't given up a home run in any of the last 5 starts dating back to June 14th. So it's been a long time as King Tut decided to make an appearance today. It looks good for a guy 2,000-3,000 years old.
That pitch was not a strike. 2 down.
This ball's off the outside corner. Sam Holbrook decides that it was good enough, and if that's going to be the plate, the boys have got to go out there and get it.
Here's Flowers.
And if you haven't heard, looks like that's going to be it for this year for Carlos Rodon, as there are no plans to pitch him any further. He's done a terrific job. He'll end his part of the year at 9-6 for a rookie with a ball club that is under 500. 9-6 is awfully good. He showed last night he's a battler. He showed last night he can win with less than his best, and he showed this year that he's the top of the rotation starter.
Well, that to me was one of the most impressive starts he's had last night.
Well, he did just a great job.
We know he's going to what he's going to do when he's got his good stuff and his good control. I mean, that's a given. Not that he's going to win every time, but he's going to win or be right there most of the time. But when you don't have what he had last night, you don't have your good stuff and good control, and you go out there and you throw the big pitch when you have to, you only give up 2 runs against a team that's battling their behinds off to try to get in the playoff in 6 innings. That was a heck of an outing.
A 2-hit batsman, 5 walks, and yet you get out just the 2 runs. Strong, very strong.
going back to that game that Chris Sale pitched a couple of years ago against the Rangers when he never hit 90. He didn't have anything, and he goes out and beats a good hitting ball club
in their ballpark, which is a hitter's paradise. That was really impressive.
Those are the kind of games that really build. That was a strike. 1-2-3 inning, and we still lead at 1-0. Test in Seattle, and CSN has the best game day coverage in town. At 2 p.m. get ready for kickoff for Chris Bowden and former Bears Jim Miller, Lance Briggs, and Dan Jiggets. It'll be on Bears pregame live presented by Meyer. Then after the action, flip back to CSN for Bears postgame live presented by Nissan beginning tomorrow at 2 on Comcast Sportsnet. Brian McCann, as they put shift on for him. It's a bit of a surprise after we just left there and everything said. Tigers announced that Brad Ausmus will be back managing the Tigers next year.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm very happy he's back for a simple reason. He's managed 2 years. If you're going to hire a manager with no experience, you got to give him longer than 2 years. He won the division his first year. This year they were a decimated team that traded away their 2 star players. Can't see it's Ausmus's fault. I'm happy they're bringing him back.
McCann bounce out to Gray, 1 down.
White Sox fans celebrate Hispanic Heritage Night on October 2nd, presented by Miller Lite. There's going to be Latin music and dancing, special activities for kids, an on-field parade, and a post-game fireworks show. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. Miller Lite, official beer of your Chicago White Sox. Tickets start as low as $10, so visit whitesox.com/NHH.
Chris Young at 247, 14 long ones and 41 driven in.
One thing, if you're a hitter facing Johnny Danks, you're going to realize is that he's going to work very quickly. He's going to get it. He's going to throw it. He'll usually be around the plate with it.
Change up.
That was probably the best changeup he's thrown this afternoon, although it's really early in the performance. If he keeps it there with that kind of movement, he's not going to have any problems.
Well, we've said it many, many times. When he keeps his changeup down, he's good. When he gets his changeup up, he's bad.
Well, the good changeup away, especially to right-handers, sets up his cutter inside, because if they're aware of that ball away, they're going to have a harder time getting to that cutter in on their hands.
And another issue to that is the fact that when he keeps it down, now you got to worry about Up and down and in and out. Not just in and out.
Jose Quintana is probably as good as we have at throwing that face-high fastball when he gets ahead of the hitters and getting guys to swing at it.
Oh, the first walk. And here's Greg Bird. He's the one that got robbed of that of extra bases on that brilliant play by Trace Thompson yesterday, which saved at least one and possibly 2 runs. Now field straight up. There's the strike. When you don't have a hard thrower, which Johnny is not a hard thrower, when you don't have a hard thrower out there from the hitting standpoint, if you just got to cover in and out, he's at a big disadvantage. But when you got a guy who's not a hard thrower and you got to cover in and out and up and down, then you got a problem.
Right now, John's missed a few times. They've been down, but they've been down well off the plate. And Bird is one of their most promising youngsters that they brought up through their system. He came as soon as Mark Teixeira was lost for the year.
Well, he sure has a swing that fits this ballpark. That ball he hit. That's the reason that play was so great yesterday by Trace. That ball was a humpback line drive. He just killed it.
Well, he's going to hit a lot of home runs, both in this park and on the road. If you pencil out the home runs he's hit and the at-bats he's had, and it's hard to do that, but he's going to hit 35 to 40 home runs. I mean, he's had very few opportunities because he's just gotten here. Had 128 at-bats, 10 home runs, 28 driven in. Those are big power numbers for just 37 games.
Well, he was a .283 minor league hitter, and he's just 23 years old. So, yeah, he's probably going to hit.
He was one of the guys that Brian Cashman refused to give up. Severino, who we're going to see tomorrow afternoon, is another guy that he refused to give up. The Yankees were close to pulling off a couple of trades at the deadline, but they didn't want to give up any of their 3 real good kids.
Watch out. Good try by the ball. And Houston has defeated Texas 9-7. Carlos Correa 3 for 4, 3 RBIs, 2 home runs in that game.
Houston ended their 3-game losing streak. Texas got their 4-game winning streak ended. So now it's a 3.5 game lead with the Rangers over Houston.
He gone.
Second strikeout for Johnny Danks as he throws a fastball, puts it on the outside corner. This is a perfect pitch, and he throws it by the youngster.
You could see that he was not looking for fastball right there with that swing he put on that one. So here's Didi. Gregorius at 267, 9 homers, 52 driven in. Gregorius in the first half at 238. It was in 81 games. Second half so far in 65 games, hitting at 302. With 5 homers and 35 knocked in.
He came over from the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Brayu's good on those. Makes the catch. That'll retire the side. We're into the third, leading 1-0.
Miller time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Carlos Sanchez will lead it off. Then we'll go back to the top of the order with Adam Eaton. Carlos hitting at .230, 5 homers, 31 knocked in. First ball hunting. Line shot. It's a hang woofle for Sanchez.
The White Sox and New Amsterdam vodka both know what it's like to taste greatness. And for New Amsterdam vodka, that taste is award-winning smoothness. So when you're with your friends, lift a glass to your team, Chicago. New Amsterdam, it's your town. New Amsterdam, the official vodka of the Chicago White Sox.
Adam is single, picked up a stolen base, his 17th, and he scored our run in the first inning. In that Tampa Bay Toronto won at 10-8. David Price, the winner, 18-5. Not one of his best outings. 5 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned. Surprising thing, though, is Chris Archer. Chris Archer has got some terrific right-handed stuff.
He just ran into the wrong ball club.
Well, he went 3 2/3, gave up 10 hits, 9 runs, all earned, but he walked 5. That club has a tendency to make you try to make too many good pitches.
Yeah, you're not going to just lay it in. You don't have a part of the batting order where, you get by the first 4, sometimes first 5, and you can relax a little bit the last 4. Toronto doesn't have that kind of lineup. You can't relax at all.
Now Russell Martin hit his 22nd. Dan Revere is a good player and a good leadoff man, as he just gets him. So that's 2 out. Revere was 3 for 5 in that game. He's hitting at .305. Then you got Josh Donaldson, who's the MVP in the American League. Then you got Bautista, who had 2 home runs. He's got 39. He had 4 RBIs. Then you got Encarnacion. Then you got Justin Smoke, who's caught up in that positive virus of hitting.
Yeah, I mean,
that contagion of hitting.
He wasn't hitting at all the last couple of years, really. This year, he's gotten some huge hits for them.
And especially lately. Then you got Russell, who's had some big hits. Martin. That was his 22nd homer. And they get him off quick. That ball's hit hard, but meanwhile, just a hard strike. Yeah. Ryan Goins has had some big hits for him. All the way up and down. As I said, it's not the best hitting team I've ever seen, but it certainly is probably as dangerous, if not the most dangerous hitting team I've seen. As he guns it over. And that'll retire the side. We'll go to the bottom of the 3rd. Still 1-0 Sox.
Strong fan, you just might see yourself on an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile.
Here's Rob Rusnider, 24-year-old second baseman. 2 for 5 in the series.
Both hits have come to right field as he's able to go that way against the left-handers.
Well, if he stays with that approach, he got a chance to be successful. And you get that one. But you can jump on and pull. So there's Melky quickly gets to it, gets it back in.
You have to give Ref Snyder a whole lot of credit because when he came up earlier and he was up for 4 games, Yankees sent him down and said, "We think you can swing the bat, son, but you have to work on your defense." He made a good defensive play to get out of the last inning, and we can see that he can swing the bat.
297, minor league hitter. So leadoff man aboard. Ellsbury single to lead off the bottom of the first. He's hitting .450 against Danks with 2 doubles and 20 career at bats. Big hack.
Ellsbury thought he brought the bat back, but it's irrelevant because that pitch was in the strike zone. So he was thinking about bunting, then thought at the last instant it was too low, only to see it called the strike.
1-2 the count. Yes, he did. He gone. 1 out.
Tried to check his swing, but the appeal to Alan Porter, he didn't. And as you can see, he just went around a touch too far.
Chase Headley popped up to Thompson in right field.
St. Louis Cardinals, who have the best record in baseball by far, suffered a big blow for the postseason. Their young right-hander Carlos Martinez suffered a shoulder strain and he shut down for the rest of the year. For St. Louis, they've had a lot of injuries, and this one, as they go into postseason, particularly damaging to them.
That fastball, it's a little high, but goes Dank's way.
Chase Headley looks back at Sam Holbrook and said, "Boy, I don't know about that one."
And somebody, probably Girardi, in that Yankee dugout. And the count 1-2.
That one was high, but it had a piece of the zone.
Kyler, keep it in front of him. Trying to take that one into right center.
Yeah, Johnny was pretty lucky on that one. He got away with one right down the middle of the plate and up. So take a look on Menard's pitch tracks and see that was a cutter. Turned out to be a spinner, but he got the foul ball.
All right, boys, take your time. Rack them up. Double play number 155 turned by our guys. US Cellular Field as the good guys face the division rival Royals. So join us for the first pitch of 7 on Comcast Sportsnet. Top of the 4th inning, 1-3-0 for us, 0-2-0 for them. Melky Cabrera, Trace Thompson, and Adam LaRoche to face Adam Warren.
Warren got off to a rocky start, giving up hits to 3 of the first 4 hitters, but since then he seems to have gotten his rhythm. He's getting the ball over the plate, and he's retired everybody he's seen since the first 4 hitters.
Right to the bag. Big bird. 1 out.
Hey, Sox fans, all season long you can score with Papa John's Pizza. The day after the Sox score 5 or more runs, you get 50% off your entire online order at papajohns.com with the promo code SOX5. That's at all participating Papa John's locations. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Here's Tracy, lined a single into left field. Outfield straight up. Just a small gap out there in right center. That ball hit high and deep on the track now, just on the edge of the track. He just missed it. 2 down. And that'll bring up Adam, who hit into a 4-6-3 double play. Off the end of the bat. 1, 2, 3. That's 10 in a row retired by Adam Warren.
Visit Athletico.com and start defining your pain-free inner athlete today. Athletico, the official physical therapy provider of the Chicago White Sox. Athletico, better for everybody.
Here's Alex. Struck out on a changeup. Very quickly to count 0-2.
For whatever reason, Alex Rodriguez has really struggled against left-handers recently. Struggled more against left-handers than right-handers. That's somewhat surprising for a guy that's always hit left-hand pitching.
Surprising for a guy who's got 686 home runs. He hadn't had too many problems with too many guys.
No, he hasn't.
You think about Jim Thome having 612. You get over that 600 mark and
you're in the elite company.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty the elite company.
I would assume Alex, after the year he's having, wants to come back next year, so he'll get in the 700 category.
He's got 2 years left on his contract for big bucks.
Well, he'll be back. He'll get some.
I would assume that he would be back.
Pretty good pitch, didn't get it. That part of the zone. Full count. Full count. Pitch that could have gone his way. Had him 0-2. Walks the leadoff man.
Second walk issued by Johnny Diggs. He walked Young in the second.
Here's Beltran. He just missed one. His first at bat went deep to center field. All right. Carlos has got him. 1 out.
John's had to be pretty good as Tyler Flowers taking the long, slow walk out. He wants to talk to him about how they want to work McCann. It was a dead pull hitter in a left-hand hitter's paradise. Johnny Diggs' lifetime against these Yankees 3-3, but his ERA is up over 5, so he's had some problems with this team.
McCann grounded out softly to Abreu. And that is a Souvenir back left side. Changed. Had him way out in front.
Another illustration that left-handers with good changeups should not discard the changeup against left-hand hitters. I don't know why most of them do.
Well, in my time zone, that was a no-no. To managers, not to players. We all used to. We couldn't believe that managers would say to a left-hander, don't throw changeups to left-handed hitters.
Doesn't make any sense.
It's crazy. Why are you going to take sometimes, in a lot of cases, the best pitch the left-handers got away from him?
Well, for John, that straight change sets up everything else he has. And when it's good, he pitches very well because it magnifies his other pitches. So if you take it away, then he's got to throw fastballs away to the left-handers. To McCann in this park, you can't throw it far enough away where he won't pull it.
Well, you got to remember that time zone, though, because most of the managers in that time zone came from a generation before I got there. So, I mean, that was really hardcore old school baseball.
There's no doubt, but there's only 2 bases at that point.
that's your 2 bases right there.
Well, what I like is telling me I'm number 1. Thank you.
That's softly hit, but foul. Thank you very much.
Well, the young man reached out and made the catch. And he reached actually into the field of play, but I don't think Trace could have gotten there, so there's going to be one of those no harm, no fouls.
Look at that look on his face. He was blocked, too, and still made the play.
The guy was screening it.
That's one of my favorite things to this day, is seeing the face of a child when he gets a baseball.
I was going to say, look on his face when he gets a souvenir, which is priceless. But to do that and do it well, you got to bring your glove to the park. It's of critical importance.
Stops that one foul. Yeah, that was something we never could understand. Some of our left-handed pitchers had a terrific changeup, and yet they couldn't throw it.
Looks like we're going to see another one here.
Another bad swing, but he just got a piece of it. Goes down. That's into center field. Golfs that one a little bit. So that's out number 2. And here's Chris Young. Drew a walk with 1 out in the 2nd inning.
Right now, visibility in center is not particularly good. You're obscured in the shadows in left and right. You're obscured in the shadows on the mound and at home plate. But in that area in center field, because of the 4 o'clock start, Adam Eaton is the guy that's looking straight into the sunlight. And it's a little difficult as the ball comes out of the shadows to him.
Very similar to old Yankee Stadium. I was on a team with an outfielder named Rocky Colavito. All the youngsters out there, Rocky. It was Tigers, Indians, Kansas City. It was a home run hitter. And Rocky was a tough guy. And Rocky was not afraid of hardly anything. He told me when they were talking about the shadows at old Yankee Stadium, he said the most scary thing he's ever done in his whole life was facing Ryan Duran in the shadows at Yankee Stadium. Ryan Duran was a hard throwing right-hander who wore glasses that looked like Pepsi bottle. That's how thick they were.
Well, he routinely would throw the first warm-up pitch up on the screen.
Oh yeah, and sometimes into the press box. I saw him throw it into the press box in Bradenton, Florida.
That give you a lot of confidence.
There he goes. Safe. Picks up his 4th stolen base. And 4 attempts.
Yeah, there's an example where Johnny just lost track of where A-Rod was. There was a time when he could steal him. These days he can't run, but he noticed that John wasn't paying any attention to him, so he takes off and actually gets in ahead. What did he steal? It's 46 bases you talked about. 46 bases as a youngster.
Well, he wants to win this ball game. He wants to try to get the Yankees somehow back in position to get into a wild card. There's the strike.
Well, the Yankees are in pretty good shape as far as the wild card is concerned. Houston is closest to them, and there's 5 losses difference. The Yankees have lost 69 coming in. Houston won their ball game today, but they've lost 74.
Yeah, well, it's like a fight though until you get knocked out.
That's true.
You better just keep swinging.
We talked about that ball game that Houston won, especially important for Houston for the simple reason that after leading that division all year long, they've got the Angels right on their backs. The Angels are tied with them in the loss column. Houston has won 2 more games, but they both lost 74. And the Angels, coming into today's play, have won 3 games in a row. So they're making it really uncomfortable for the Astros, who are in danger after leading all year of not making the playoffs.
Yeah. He gone. And that'll return to the side. 4th strikeout for Johnny, and he leads it 1-0. for their guys. The Alexei, then Olt, then Flowers to face Adam Warren, who gave up that run in the first inning. Since then, last 10 guys he has faced, he has retired. Two and 0. Finale of this 10-day, 11-game road trip tomorrow. Eric Johnson for us, Luis Severino. Couple of good young right-handers for them. Headley. One out, and that'll bring up Olt, who struck out. But Eric Johnson 3-0 since being called up from Charlotte, where he was the International League Pitcher of the Year.
I talked to Eric about his style and the routine. You've talked about his routine and what it gets him to do. He told me that because of that routine and because of working so quickly, it's just gotten him to concentrating on staying in the strike zone. And that routine and working quickly has really changed him into the pitcher that he was all of this year.
Well, I think if you go back and you check it out, almost every good player in any sport had a routine. Now, some of it may have been off field, but they had a routine, like a Wade Boggs. Wade Boggs, former third baseman, Red Sox, the Yankees, Tampa Bay. Led the league in hitting a few times. Ate chicken every day. That was part of his routine. I'm sure you have one, and I'm sure guys have one, even though they're not conscious of it.
Well, I think it doesn't matter what you do. If you, well, I view it to dominoes. You can line up a mile of dominoes. If they're all in line, you press one, they all fall. Same thing with a routine. If you do A, B, C, D, and E, and then you win, you associate it with winning, then you continue to do A, B, C, D, and E, and you associate it with winning. And that's the kind of routine you're looking for. Anything that can get you consistently to the point where you believe you're going to win if you do these things, then it works for you. And it doesn't, the great thing about it, doesn't matter what you do.
Well, that's true, but that's also is in terms of being a little superstitious, like Boggs was with eating chicken.
Yeah.
Okay, the routine I'm talking about is one in which, and you're hearing golfers, that to me the next big quantum leap into performance enhancing performance is visualization and routine. It's going to be a situation to whereas the biggest killer of performance is pressure. You have to find a way to alleviate pressure. And once you do that, once you find a routine, you crawl into that routine every time there's a pressure-packed situation. And that's the only thing you think about, is that's fouled away. But golfers now are starting to talk more and more and more about visualization and routine.
Well, that's the refinement of the mental processes. And I believe as a species, we're only getting so big and so strong. We're going to get a little bigger, a little stronger, but not all that much. But the greatest frontier is the harnessing of the mental processes. And to do that, you've got to understand how it works. And that's how it's explained to a lot of these guys. And that routine you're talking about, regardless of what it is, that's going to work for you. You're going to believe it's going to work. I came up with, when I played, you know, it's an emotional game. You know that. Everybody feels the same way about the emotions of the game. So I gave myself any emotion I wanted to on the green grass of the infield. I called it the green and brown theory. Whatever emotion I wanted, but I got on the brown of the mound, the dirt part, and all of a sudden all I concentrated on was the next pitch. The next pitch, what I was going to throw. All the emotions drained away. And that green and brown theory was something that I used as I got better, but I didn't know about it when I first started.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You develop,
yeah,
you back a little habit.
That's what it was.
And the routine has got to be something you are conscious and you're aware of. I know there's alter egos that are involved in this thing. I know when I came close to winning the Triple Crown in '68, I had just gotten into that routine in that on the on-deck circle. I'd say, all right, can he get out of the Hawks' way and let him go? That was one of my ways to alleviate the pressure. And it worked.
If you believe it's going to work, it will work.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think you probably felt the same way I did, because you got that later in your career. And we all wish we could get it early in our career, except we weren't prepared to do it early in our career. Because either one, the talent was there, but we couldn't get it out, or two, the talent wasn't there yet, and the experience wasn't there yet. So eventually you get it. You just hope you get it before it's too late.
Well, the reason you didn't get it is because most of the time you're thinking about mechanics. As a pitcher, as a hitter, and you cannot, if you're thinking about mechanics, you're in trouble. There are a lot of guys in Cooperstown, if you didn't know who they were, and you saw them out on a sandlot someplace, swinging a bat, you'd say, that guy can't hit. There are a lot of guys, pitchers, who are in Cooperstown right now. If you saw them on the sideline, oh, he's got a good arm, but he can't pitch. Look at all that movement out there. Look at big leg kicks. Meanwhile, they're in Cooperstown. When you said you hit that brown dirt, you weren't thinking about mechanics. That took your mind off of it. The only thing you were thinking about was the next pitch.
That was it. And that's, you know, you let all the emotion drain away, because it's an emotional game. I mean, you give up a couple of hits, you're in trouble. It's emotional. But you have to let that drain away if you're going to do your job.
What helped me the most, my first 5 years, I stunk. What helped me the most, the last couple of years I played for, I broke my leg and retired. Because that just misses to Carlos. He's 0 for 1. He hit a line drive in the left field. Was having a sense of control when I walked into that batter's box. Having a sense of control, because I was figured, I'd already thought about how I was going to try to be dangerous against CC Sabathia, or how I was going to be dangerous against Sam McDowell or Sandy Koufax or Don Drysdale or those guys. You're not going to beat those guys all the time. So you have to have a sense of control of where you get in there, you feel like you're fairly dangerous. And then if they do make a mistake, then you hit the ball hard. If they don't, then you can handle the 0 for 4 better. You got to have a short memory. Because that's ball 4, so he walks the second man this inning. And here's Adam Eaton, who singled, stole second, and scored. It's all between the ears. We see it every day. Let's face it. We see it every day. We see guys out here who have tremendous talent and don't know how to play the game.
We both played with guys coming up that might have had much more talent than we had. In the meantime, they went home long before they should have, because they could not harness it.
Exactly.
They didn't understand what it was like to get the best out of themselves between the lines. But they were great on the sidelines, or they were great 5 o'clock hitters.
Well, you're right. I mean, you're a former Cy Young Award winner, I'm a former Player of the Year, and we both admit that we didn't have the most talent. But we got what we had, got it out of us.
Fortunately, we were both able to stay around long enough to be able to find it.
Yep.
And that was the good part.
Two and 0.
Meantime, for Warren, this is very rare. He's got really good control normally. And he's dug himself into a hole, and he's fallen behind Adam Eaton, who's been swinging the bat as well as anybody on the ball club now for a very prolonged period of time.
He's got the talent. And a 3-0 count.
McCann goes out to talk with Warren. I would think that if he doesn't get Adam Eaton, and he is in a pretty big hole here, we'll go see Larry Rothschild, who we haven't seen very much going to the mound in this series. In fact, I don't think we've seen him at all going to the mound. One time?
No.
And sometimes you call for a late dinner.
Meeting of the minds in short center field. As there's ball 4, that will load him up. 3 walks, and here comes Abreu.
And here comes Larry Rothschild. So a chance for Jose in one swing of the bat to join the most exclusive club, or one of them certainly, seeing as there's only one other member, and that's Albert Pujols, at 30 home runs and 100 driven in his first 2 years. He's got all the makings of it in this at bat, as Larry Rothschild talks with his right-hander, who's walked 3 this inning.
Well, I was watching Abreu the last couple of days in BP, and I tell you, I've been really proud of him because he hadn't changed his routine. And he's probably the most routine-oriented hitter we have on this ball club. But he hadn't changed. He's not trying to hit balls out of the ballpark, except maybe in the last 2 or 3 swings of his last round. He's hitting balls, line drives to right field, line drives to center field.
The big run producers will take the ball the opposite way because pitcher's going to stay away from him in situations like this.
Well, he knocked in Eaton in the first inning. And that pitch is.
So the Yankee pen up and going. And it's Brian Mitchell.
A little tardy on that one.
Brewer with the bases loaded. Absolutely unbelievable for Jose. 438. Couple of grand slams.
That one is in the mezzanine, and now 1-2. The fans looking for the strikeout. Pretty good job right there by Abreu on a good pitch.
That was a great slider. It was on the outside corner, maybe an eyelash off the corner. Jose is able to stay alive. Good plate coverage, as you can see, goes out there. Very defensive swing. In the meantime, he'll get at least one more pitch.
And another souvenir. He had a good one to hit there. Didn't do anything with it. He did go. And that'll retire the side. We're halfway home, leading 1-0. All right, Chuck, thank you very much, buddy. As 0-1 to count. Now that breaking ball to Bird. And it's 0-2 to Greg Bird, who is 0 for 1 a strikeout.
Quickly, 2 curveballs, 2 strikes. He's not throwing a lot of curveballs today. They've been effective.
There you go. 5 strikeouts now for Johnny.
2 curveballs and a straight change. This straight change down and in. Swings over the top of it. 2 singles given up by Johnny Danks. A leadoff single to Ellsbury. A leadoff single to Refsnyder, and that's been it.
Here's Gregorius. Didi hit a major league pop-up. It was caught by Abreu. Takes a strike. Another strike. And the count 0-2 to the 25-year-old, very talented Yankee shortstop. Didi had the only 2 RBIs for the Yankees last night. Sox won that game 5-2. Alan Porter says he did not go.
Last night's base hit with the bases loaded by Gregorius, he was able to take an outside pitch and pull it into right field.
Uh-oh. Kansas City special.
That ball was right in on his hands, and he was able to take it right off his hands and loop it into left field. Good pitch by Johnny Danks. Somewhat of an inside-out swing, trying to get the good part of the bat on it. Couldn't accomplish that, but did accomplish the 3rd single.
Here's Refsnyder, line day single into left field. Takes first pitch strike. We will finish up here tomorrow. Board our chart to come on home. Have an off day on Monday, then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 3 against Kansas City, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 3 against Detroit, and that's the end of the season. Oh yeah, had him way out in front of that change. Two. The ball hit hard into right center, but we got a man there. He got a good jump and made a nice catch. 2 down. That's a hang woofum for Refsnyder.
Refsnyder hitting that ball hard. And this ball is out away. Adam was able to run it down. not quite as bright out in center field. The glasses atop his hat, and he was able to see the ball all the way. Just that little strip of sunshine.
Well, if Refsnyder can throw some leather, he's got a chance to be a major league player for a while. He looks good at that play.
He's got a lively bat, and he's been spraying the ball all around.
So here's Jacoby, singled to start off the game, then struck out on a check swing. Takes a strike.
Ellsbury will show you at times some surprising power, although it hasn't been a powerful year for him. He did have one huge year with the Red Sox.
There he goes. He gone. Right on the money for Tyler, and that'll retire the side.
Right, and this is one of the better throws Tyler Flowers has had all year, cutting down Didi Gregorius, who got a great jump. This throw is right on the money. Alexei tags him out, and Gregorius cut down for the third time this year. Got the elbow before the hand got the bat.
First pitch strike to Melky. Melky just missed one in the right center field. And he also was grounded to first. Hit him on the fist. One 3-0 for us, 0-3-0 for them here in game 3 of this 4-game set. And here is Trace Thompson. Trace lined a single into left, and he went out deep to right.
Trace had the last Sox hit. He was the 4th hitter of the game.
Well, Warren walked the bases loaded last inning. We let him off the hook.
Yankees bullpen up and going once again. Double-barreled action. Warren's at the 82 pitch mark.
Well, the primary objective for the starters is to protect the bullpen.
There's Capuano, the left-hander, with Mitchell, the right-hander, is up for the second time.
If you can't do that, then Girardi has been walking a tight wire for a while, for several years now, because of all the starting pitching problems they've had. So that is out number 2. And we'll send out a big White Sox hello to Jason Boggs in Aurora and Jennifer Bialik in Villa Park watching in today. Here's LaRoche. Get into a 4-6-3 double play, and he's grounded to first.
The Yankees have had a lot of pitching injuries this year, but nothing like last year. The Yankees had just one pitcher who made 20 starts or more last year, and Kuroda is not with the team this year.
That ball hit hard, but that man out there is good. His name is Jacoby Ellsbury, and that's a 1-2-3 inning.
Photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag Chicago Data Strong Fan. You just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile.
So here's Ellsbury. He was at the plate, but Tyler gunned down Gregorius trying to steal second. Ellsbury has singled and struck out. Remember his rookie year when he first came up. God rest his soul. Former Red Sox great Johnny Pesky. The old woodpecker. He was a coach. He's down in the field, and Johnny comes over and says, "Well, see this kid in the cage right now." Ellsbury. I said, "Yeah." He said, "This kid has got a chance to be the best player ever to put on a Red Sox uniform." Didn't work out that way. He was a good one.
He had one big year, 2011. We talked about showing some power. He had 32 home runs, drove in 105 that year, hit 321, and hasn't come close to duplicating that since.
Stole 74 bases in 2009.
Yankees ran early in the season, and they ran a lot, especially with the right-handers going against him. They had Ellsbury and Gardner at the top of their order, and they ran consistently, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, they just shut it down and haven't really run much since.
Well, we got more stolen bases than they do.
Yeah, it's just they had the guys who could do it, but Joe decided that he didn't want to get them hurt. He had absorbed enough injuries. He kept them together and didn't run.
Well, that's an old school thought too. Back years ago, they didn't want guys who could hit home runs running bases, stealing bases. And that's going to be a soft single into center field. So the leadoff man aboard.
2 for 3 now for Ellsbury, and this is almost a carbon copy of that base hit leading off the ball game.
2 Kansas City specials.
I mean, doesn't get on the good part of the bat. Adam couldn't have gotten it anyway. Came on and got it back into the infield.
As I've said several times, I'm not demeaning Kansas City hitters. I'm complimenting them. I wish our guys could do that. They score a lot of runs. They strike out a lot fewer times than any team in baseball because they make contact. You make contact enough, you're going to get some of those broken bat singles and soft singles. There he goes. That is stolen base number 21.
It's not a good throw, but there was no chance Tyler Flowers was going to gun him down. Not with that lead.
That was close to being a Lance Johnson jump.
He just decided he was going to run on first move. John didn't go over there, and Ellsbury stole it easily.
So Headley, Chase has popped up to right, then hit into a 6-4-3 double play, and I think Girardi's seen enough double plays. He wanted to try to get Jacoby down there to take that out of order.
Joe wears number 28. Dreaming about the 28th World Championship. They've had 27 of them.
As a strike, and he didn't get it. But 1-1 to count.
Meantime for Headley, that was a perfect pitch to take to the right side to move along Ellsbury, which he's got to do in this at bat some way.
You would think so in a 1-0 ball game. 2-1. That was not a get him over swing.
No, he wasn't even thinking about it.
That's what we're talking about a couple of innings ago.
Yep.
I mean, you got a 1-0 ball game. You're going to stand in the same place in that box when you're trying to accomplish something. In this case, hit the ball to the right side to get Ellsbury over to third. He's going to get him over to third, and then solid. And the game is tied at 1.
RBI number 62 for Chase Headley.
Double number 28.
So the base hit, the stolen base, and the ringing double. Tied the game at 1. That time he got a fastball. It was on the outer third and down, and he smoked it.
So that swing that he pulled the ball down the third baseline was totally forgotten about.
Yes, it is. Apparently a different game plan.
Here's Alex, a strikeout and a walk. And walk, he had him 0-2 and lost him. One 3-0 for us, 1 5-0 for them here in the bottom of the 6th inning. There's the strike.
Sox bullpen starts to stir for the first time, as John is about to deliver pitch number 100. Look at Jake Petrichka.
Close pitch. He didn't get that one.
And that's who it is. Jake Petrichka. And Dan Jennings.
Yeah, against this club, you better get a left-hander up in a close ball game. And the count 3-1. So that's going to be a ground rule double. That's a 2-1 lead on back-to-back doubles by Headley and Alex.
RBI number 84. That caromed off of Olt's glove and then bounced into the seats. This ball hit awfully hard. Now he throws it low and in. Alex takes it down the line. And a trip to the mound for Don Cooper.
Coop has his say.
Bobby Thigpen answering the phone, wanting to know if the guys are ready in the pen. He's going to either answer in the affirmative or say they need 5-10 more pitches, whatever the case may be.
Three straight hits, one single, two doubles, and here's Beltran. He's going out deep to center, and he's popped up to second. Tommy Hawk that one in the right center. One and two the count.
Reading Don Cooper's lips as he went out to talk with Johnny Danks, he told him about throwing the fastball, but he said soft is better. Looks like
Abreu.
He threw him the straight change after the soft curveball, and he got him well out in front and got him to pop it up.
One of the reasons that Brian Cashman has been a very successful general manager is that he has always had a good fastball hitting team.
I would say that's probably the key, because if you got guys that can't hit fastballs, you're probably not going to win too many games.
Well, every team's got some guys who can hit them, but predominance is if you're going to go either way, you'd rather have a good fastball hitter than a good breaking ball hitter. And that's where Cashman has always had, since he's been here, a good. Yankees have always been one of the best fastball hitting teams in the league. And in the old ballpark, old Yankee Stadium, they always had left-handed hitters, predominance of left-handed hitters who could turn a 30-30 around.
Yeah, 296 down the right field line. When you've got a left-hand pull hitting lineup, you're going to make life miserable for right-handed starters, especially. I think there's many more right-handed starters than left-hand starters if you take our ball club out of the equation. Yankees usually dominated home. Well, have for many years.
If you take that further, that they were always making the other team change, alter their rotation sometimes. High pop up. Abreu. 2 down. So they'll bring up Chris Young, who has walked and he has struck out.
And with Tyler Flowers, he looked out at Johnny Danks and went 4. Johnny said, "It's up to you." Tyler went 4. Take their chances with the youngster coming up in the on-deck circle, who John has handled twice. He struck out Bird both times he's faced him.
He has done that, but make no mistake about it, you make a mistake on him. And he could turn you around.
Yeah, he's a strong one. So Young will go to first base. And the White Sox Kids Club is presented by University of Chicago Medicine Comer Children's Hospital. We're teaming up for kids' health. Kids Club members receive free White Sox tickets and cool exclusive Kids Club items. For information about the 2016 Kids Club, email kidsclub@whitesox.com.
High pop up. He got a cookie right there. Tyler makes a catch. That'll retire the side, but they come up with a pair. RBI doubles by Headley and Alex Rodriguez, and they lead it 2-1.
players all season long by visiting whitesox.com/connect today. So Justin Wilson comes into the game, and now he's part of the threesome that Joe Girardi enjoys using late in the game. It's Wilson, Betances, and Miller. And we'll see Wilson now for the 71st time. He's 5-0, his ERA .316. We saw him in the opening game in relief of Pineda. And that's when he used Wilson, Betances, and Miller.
Good job by Adam Warren. Even though he walked the bases loaded back in the 5th inning, he pitched his way out of it. And it seems like we've had the bases loaded a lot in the last 10 days. Last time we got a bases loaded base hit, I just had the mayor, me and Joe Blue, look it up, was back September 16th. We've had them loaded quite a few times since then, and we have not been able to do anything with it.
That's 10 days ago.
Unbelievable. Really.
That's a long, long run.
Yes, it is. But a good job by Warren giving up that 1 run on 3 hits, all those hits coming in the 1st inning.
First 4 hitters, and after that, nothing.
Alexei is grounded to short, and he's grounded to third.
So Warren goes 6 innings, gives up a run on 3 hits with 3 walks and 4 strikeouts. And he is the pitcher of record to this point, as is Johnny Danks, whose day is probably over.
Johnny has pitched well.
Yes, he has.
Again. So here's Olt. Strikeout and a walk. Takes strike 1. Good pitcher's pitch. Boy, I remember back in the 60s and 70s, the Yankees. You get a fastball pitcher out there on that mound against them, they would absolutely eat his lunch. They had some absolute terrific fastball hitters.
Yankees decided they needed another left-hander, and they went to Pittsburgh, and they got Justin Wilson. Now the price was Francisco Cervelli. Cervelli's done a terrific job for the Pirates this year. The Yankees had an abundance of catching. They needed a pitcher. Both teams got exactly what they needed.
2-2 the count. Little tardy.
Pittsburgh was in need of a catcher who could catch, handle a staff, and hit. Cervelli hitting .304 this year. I don't think they expected that.
Well, let me tell you something. Cervelli has been a huge part of that Pittsburgh success.
Indeed he has.
A huge part. Pitchers love throwing to him. 2 down. Sometimes the guy gets with the right manager, he just takes off.
Well, Clint Hurdle is a good one.
Well, Madden, look at Joe Madden.
Jeez.
These guys, that's 2 terrific managers going at one another in that series, Hurdle and Joe Madden.
Pittsburgh did exactly what they had to do to secure the fact that they will host the one-and-done game, and that's come into Chicago and at the very least take 2 of 3 because they got to face Arrieta tomorrow. But they won the first 2 games of that series.
Well, they got their work cut out for them tomorrow.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good right now, as even though they have to go to St. Louis, Pittsburgh is sitting there 95-60. Cubs 89-65.
Tyler 0 for 2, a couple of punch outs. One, 2, 3 inning for Wilson. 7th inning stretch. We trail it 2-1.
Look-ins, highlights, replay previews, scores, StatCast, live radio broadcast, the MLB.TV game of the day, and more. Download the MLB.com at Bat app on your smartphone and tablet now. So with those 3 strikeouts, the Yankees now with 571 strikeouts. That's the all-time record for strikeouts by a bullpen. They set it last year, and they broke it this year. So Dan Jennings comes into the game. Terrific job by Johnny Danks. And Jennings on for the 49th time. He's 2-3, ERA 415, excuse me. And he's going to face the bottom part of the order in this 2-1 game, holding the deficit at 1 and turning it over to the offense.
Well, Johnny Danks is going to have himself a little different offseason this year than he had last season.
I think he's got to feel real good about probably the last 7-8 starts. The fact that the ball was livelier out of his hand, his control was better, just about everything worked better for him.
He's going to feel real good about what that mirror sees. That mirror will tell you everything you got to know about your game. Yeah, he's going to like what he sees. Gregorius Ref Snyder and Ellsbury. Gregorius, 1 for 2, a little Kansas City special back in the 5th inning. He also has popped up a major league pop-up to a great. There's a breaking ball strike to even the count at 1. Outfield for the most part straight up, bit of a gap, small gap out there in left center. One out.
So Johnny went 6, gave up a couple of runs on 6 hits. He walked 3, one of them intentionally, and he fanned 5. So what they've done is tie the record, not break it. They will break it with one more strikeout. And Dellin Betances, losing in the pen, he's going to come in the game. It's going to be Betances, and if he gets through the inning, it's going to be Miller to nail it down. There's the 6'8" right-hander with the good slider and the big fastball.
Well, somewhere between those two guys, there's another strikeout.
you would think so. Although Betances has been walking a whole lot of guys lately.
Also, the Yankees just 3 wins away from 10,000 in their franchise history. Yes, he did. Ref Snyder has had 2 good at bats, a solid single to left. And then a bullet hit hard into deep right center field. But Adam got a good jump and made a nice catch. Another base hit to right field off the left-hander. What that does for you, you're hitting off the fastball. That was a breaking ball right there, but you're hitting off the fastball, and then when that left-hander throws you a breaking ball that's anywhere near the outside corner towards the middle of the plate, you still have some chance, some time, I should say, to take that ball hard to the right side. And if it's a fastball, of course, you're looking for that. If you're not, if you're thinking about just trying to hit him hard, you're going to pull off that pitch, or you'll just take it for a strike.
You pull off that pitch, you ground to the left side just about each and every time.
You're talking to the choir.
Yeah, but it's
preaching to the choir.
Yeah, if you're not punching it through the right side, then the left side of the infield is going to be busy.
Ellsbury 2 for 3. Started off that 2-run 6th with a soft single in the center for a Kansas City special, and then stole a base. Scored on Headley's double, and then Headley scored on Rodriguez's double. Just tuning in, Toronto beat Tampa Bay 10-8. David Price 18-5 over Chris Archer, who's 12-13. Archer got lit up. David didn't have one of his better outings, but they scored in double-digit runs. Houston beat Texas 9-7 down at the juice box.
Hit 6 home runs in that game.
Well, McHugh picked up his 18th victory.
How about that?
You talking about under the radar? There's a guy that's been under the radar, and he just won his 18th game.
Well, you know, the same staff at Dallas Keuchel, who is at least 1 or 2 in the Cy Young Award. You're not going to get a whole lot of pub. So he freezes him with a breaking ball, and he takes strike 3, and that hit the whole plate. Ellsbury not happy, but good pitch. Take a look at this. Toyota pitch tracks will show you it's in the zone. I'm not sure what Ellsbury was unhappy about. That's belt high in the middle of the plate.
First pitch strike to Headley. Carlos Correa had 2 home runs in that ball game. He now has 21. Gove in 3, now has 61.
What's the over-under next year for that young man with all that power in that park?
I would say right now make an over and under on home runs for 35.
Yeah, he's going to be something.
And I would make the over under on again where he hits in that lineup. But I would make on RBIs at 105.
Well, I would assume he's going to drive in Altuve a lot.
He's going to drive whoever's on base a lot, I'll tell you that. That young man is something. Big, 6'4", wide shoulders. There's the strike. Gap out there in left center. That's where Headley's double back last inning went. Jammed himself right there. And that'll retire the side. We're into the 8th. We trail it by 1. And at second base, taking over, the ref Snyder is the veteran. He can throw some leather at you. Brendan Ryan.
And there's Dylan Betances on the mound, and he's got a huge arm. On for the 70th time, 6-3 ERA, 137. When Miller had some problems, he came on, asked to save 11 games. He saved 8 of them, 124 strikeouts, and he's got a good slider, but lately control has been a factor.
First pitch strike. Carlos. Carlos is lined very hard to left field. It was a hang wolf'em, and he has walked. Well, we were talking, and justifiably so, about all the home runs that the Blue Jays hit. Blue Jays now have 220 home runs. Yankees have 206. But the Astros have 216. That ball hit hard right at him. That's another hang wolf'em for Carlos.
Couple of line drives and a walk sandwiched in between, but he's got nothing to show for it. Here's our Xfinity high-speed action replay, and it's Adam Eaton who started off the ball game with a base hit. Then he stole second base. Then able to score on a base hit through the right side. All was beautiful. It was 1-0. But unfortunately, that is the lone tally of the day for our Sox.
National League does not have a team that has 200 home runs. That Colorado has 178. That's tops in the National League. We have 4 teams with more than 200, along with the 3 I mentioned, and also Baltimore. Baltimore at 204 home runs, should have 209 because Chris Davis has been robbed 5 times this year. Gregorius has got Adam 2 down. Watching MLB this morning, they had a little montage there. All 5 catches, Robin, Chris Davis of home runs.
2 of them in our ballpark.
Yeah.
Left and right.
Yep. So here is Jose. He's 1 for 3 with an RBI. That's number 97. We have 133 home runs. It's 1 more than Kansas City. Tied with Cleveland. There's a 3-hopper. Kansas with an easy 1-2-3 inning. And we still trail at 2-1.
in fine voice. And we go into the bottom of the 8th inning in a 2-1 game, and Robin has turned to Jake Petrichka. Try to hold down the Yankees, turn it over to the offense, and keep the deficit at 1.
Alex Rodriguez, 1 for 2 in RBI double, coming back in the 6th inning, knocking in the go-ahead run.
61 appearances now for Jake. 373 earned run average.
Outfield for the most part straight up. There's first pitch strike. One 3-0 for us. All 3 of those hits coming back in the 1st inning if you're just tuning in. Have not had a hit since the 1st inning. Had 2 streaks of 10 in a row retired against us. And that's, I guess, if there was one thing at this point in time in the season, winding down. One more road game, that's tomorrow. We'll have that game for you with WG, and then we come home for 6, 3 against Kansas City, 3 against the Tigers. There's more than one, don't get me wrong, but if there's one defining thing about our season, it's been lack of offense.
That's something I think could probably be equaled out with more balanced lineup, more left-hand run producers, but it's difficult. They thought they had it this year, and Adam LaRoche has not been the way Adam would have liked or Rick Hahn would have liked.
1 out. 39,134. They're averaging 39,981.
It's going to be the 13th year in a row the Yankees are going to lead the American League in attendance. You want to split the Powerball? It's $267 million. You buy them and I'll split it with you. Seems like a good plan.
I told you a long time ago, Steve. Can't win unless you play. My partner has just a little tough time getting below the belt.
All those years of pitching, a deformity.
I know
it's a deformity.
You and Koufax.
in the right arm.
One 1-0. Beltran has gone out deep to center, popped to second, and popped to first. And a nostalgic day in Oakland. Final starts of their careers. The A's and Giants set up the rotations to create Hudson versus Zito. Well, Hudson, Zito, and Mulder, when they were with Oakland, that set up a movie, a book. Those 3 guys.
Although they didn't have a huge part in it, all they did was make it.
Let me tell you what. They were not mentioned one time in that movie. Not one time. The 3 best pitchers on one staff in baseball, and they were not mentioned one time in that movie.
Pretty amazing, seeing as Oakland did it the way a lot of teams have done it before them, and a lot of teams have done it after them. They decided to put a better man on the mound on a daily and nightly basis than you've got.
Beltran draws a walk. Well, they started, and Mark Mulder was one of the fans standing and applauding as each left the field for the final time. Boy, that was a threesome, wasn't it? Here comes Robin. You run up against those three guys in a series, and you were probably going to go 0 for 3. But Jake will depart, and Zach Duke comes on. We'll be back.
Game. This is his third appearance. On for the 69th time. He's 3-6 ERA, a touch above 3.5. And he's brought on to retire McCann. You have Beltran at first base. McCann, a dead pull hitter, didn't have any luck with Johnny Danks. So Noel pinch running at first.
McCann 0 for 3 today. Big hack.
Time now for AT&T Uverse Multiview. The reason why the Yankees do trail Toronto, not only the head-to-head, which they didn't fare very well, just 6-13, but they've only won one of their previous 5 series at home, dating back to August 20th.
There you go.
And McCann, pretty heads-up play. And he saw the tremendous jump Noel got. No way in the world he was going to swing at that, even risking going 0-2 down. Tyler Flowers wisely doesn't even bother throwing. Four for 4 now in stolen bases.
McCann leading this club in RBIs by a wide margin. Pretty nice when your catcher leads your club in RBIs.
You're not going to see that too often as McCann goes down on strikes, so he
gone.
Tops off an 0 for 4 day.
So here's Brett Gardner. Royals drove 90 bases back in 2012.
He's been in 9 games, and he's swiped 4 for 4 here. That's what you can do late in the season when you expand those rosters. You can afford 1 or 2 base running specialists. Considering that Noel has not had an at bat yet, he is a base running specialist.
Well, in my opinion, you should have one all season long.
That'd be a huge weapon if you can.
Well, you can't cover everything. How many times do you get in a close ball game in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning over the course of the season?
A lot.
You better believe.
A lot.
And you're better off having a guy like that because he's going to steal a base more than you're going to have a guy go up there and hit a double.
Well, it helps.
Well, look at Kansas City.
I was going to say it helps. Jared Dyson really helps, but he can play a little bit.
Well, you're going to have somebody. I mean, he just can't do just run. He's got to be able to fly, and he's also got to be able to catch a baseball. You don't have to be able to hit that much, but if he can catch a baseball and he can run like that, like the Dyson. We saw what it did for them.
Yeah, Dyson, and then when they expand the rosters, they bring up Gore.
Well, between the two of them, they run you right out
I'm
of the
just
park.
saying, now they got 2 guys you can use late.
But that's more important than having a decent pinch hitter, is having a guy who can steal a base. Three and two out here in the bottom of the 8th. 2-7-0 for them, 1-3-0 for us.
Bird in the on deck circle. He's 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts.
Yeah, well, the game, as you know, the game is changing, and there are a lot of people just don't want to acknowledge that and change with it.
Now with Gardner aboard, it'll leave it up to Bird. There's Andrew Miller, and he is the closer of this team, and he's a good one.
Bird 0 for 3, a couple of strikeouts, and a pop-up to Tyler Flowers. He takes low ball 1. So he falls behind him 2-0. And it'll retire to the side. We're into the 9th. Cabrera, Face Thompson.
Save number 36. His ERA 2.01. He's 3-2. Andrew Miller saving 35 games. It's the fourth different pitcher in consecutive years that saved at least 35 games. According to Elias, the Yankees are the first major league team to have 4 different pitchers record at least 35 saves in 4 successive seasons since the stat was adopted in 1969.
Melky 0 for 3. He's due. Outfield slightly to the right.
Those 4 pitchers were Soriano, Rivera, and Robertson. Soriano in 2012, Mariano Rivera in 2013, David Robertson in 2014.
And Karam's right over to Gregorius, so that's a hang whoop 'em right there for Melky. It'll be 1-6-3 if you're scoring with us.
If you're having a good ball game or you're having a good year, you get a Karam like this. If you're not, it hits off your leg and goes into left field. That ball is hit awfully hard, but that'll capsulize Melky's year. Not going to be one of his best years, but when you look at how many times he hit the ball right on the button only to see an out recorded, it's been a really good year for him.
He has hit the ball harder more times than anybody on our ball club this year. There's a breaking ball strike. Chase is 1 for 3, a hard single in the left, a deep fly to right, and a grounder to short. Very questionable, but it did appear to have just the outside edge of the corner. Meanwhile, he gives it to him, and it's 2 outs.
This ball may be touchy outside corner. In any event, the deciding vote goes to Sam Holbrook, and now Andrew Miller, with that strikeout, sets the all-time, along with his bullpen mates, the all-time record for strikeouts out of the bullpen with 572. Yankees broke their own record from last year.
Here's Adam. Two and 0 the count. We lost the opener 3-2. We won yesterday 5-2, and we trail it 2-1 here in the top of the ninth. Don't help him out. 3-1 to count with Alexei on deck. There's 4. And 39,000 plus. Most of them on their feet. He throws in a low breaking ball. This one will be hard for him to lay off. And this ball game is over.